Tonight, as more sick and twisted tweets from Hollywood celebs are exposed, Q points out the hypocrisy. We also talk about Jeffrey Epstein's secret temple on his private island and what is going on with Antifa. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every episode starts the same way. I say thank you to everybody who has subscribed because there's always new subscribers. And if you have not hit that button already, please come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you can be notified when these videos get posted. Here we go. We're going to start right here. If you guys want to get caught up to where we're at, I encourage you to go back and watch the last video. It's going to inform you on what's going on. And it's weird how these videos go. Sometimes I feel like they definitely get suppressed, and then other times it's like they're let to go because I just have a feeling that there's something going on there, but I have yet to confirm it. So until then, if you're scratching your head going, what's QAnon? What's this guy talking about? Please watch this video. It's What is QAnon and the Great Awakening? If you guys want to get more information on what QAnon and the Great Awakening is and where you can find the information and all of that, this is a great tool to use. Now, getting into the latest post here, obviously I tweeted this out last night, and this is definitely a big, important story. You know, you have Rainn Wilson now. You guys probably know him as Dwight Schrute, as from the popular comedy show The Office. And you guys, most of you probably recognize this person, and I just have to say it's really disturbing to read all these. I'm not going to read them out loud because I don't want to repeat these words because they're pure evil in my opinion. And like I've said before, the thing that stands out to me when you look at these kind of things is I don't make these kind of jokes with my friends. I never have. This is sick. This is not something you would laugh about or joke about. I mean, talking about abusing children and sacrificing children and hurting them is not something I would ever joke about. But then you read one up here where it's talking about eating, basically eating, cannibalizing humans. And then it talks about Heidi Montag and pasta. And this is from 2010. So this is a long time ago. And so this has been going on for quite some time, way longer than just when President Trump came into office. This is going way back. And I think that's what scares them more than anything, is that we're uncovering these things that happen and have been happening for so long. And they've been inside of their little structures for controlling one another. And this is what we're exposing little by little, piece by piece. So then, of course, Q plugs over to the Great Awakening board, which is a great source, the Reddit Great Awakening board, if you guys want to go check it out. But this is a post that was made by Tiorum3, and what they say is that it's unbelievable because they were reading a tweet from Jordan Sather, who's another great independent journalist doing a lot of great work out there. But inside of that thread, they found this, and they found a connection to this actual foundation in Haiti for disadvantaged girls that's ran by this guy, Rainn Wilson, and his wife. Now, to me, I'm not making any wild speculation. I'm just asking you to ask the question and do your own research and figure out what more there is. But this is the organization. It's LIDE, L-I-D-E, and it's supposed to encourage resiliency in girls' education in Haiti. And it says here, the actor is best known for his role as Dwight Schrute on TV, has shifted his attention to his new role as co-founder of LIDE, which translates to Leaders in Haitian Creole, was created in 2014 as an educational initiative aimed at building resiliency among at-risk adolescent girls in rural Haiti. Now, I'm not making any accusatory statements here, but it's really, really strange to me how all of these organizations that we've been pointed to by Q that are being ran by politicians or business leaders or actors, Hollywood celebrities, they always seem to have initiatives built around at-risk youth, whether it's girls or boys. And this is like a common theme. And then you go in at-risk girls in rural Haiti. I mean, like I said, I'm not making any accusatory statements here or remarks. I'm just merely pointing to the fact that given what this man has tweeted in the past about how he obviously has no ability or this complete disdain for the sanctity of life and the sanctity of morality and what is good and what is right, and his complete, just disregard for that by saying these kind of really twisted, sick, perverse tweets where he makes these comments, it makes you wonder, is it really that impressive that that kind of man is now working with at-risk children. Is that something that we should be looking into further and asking, what is this organization actually doing? That's merely where I'll leave it, and that's for you guys to figure out on your own. And Q asks, is that normal? And then it points again to this NBC tweet talking about how to delete old tweets. So, and the article basically explains how you should go back and delete all your old tweets because you don't want them to come back to haunt you. You don't want your actual words to come back and haunt you somehow. But and especially when these people become elected officials and they're Hollywood influencers, that these are positions where they deserve maybe just an extra layer of scrutiny, and maybe we should be looking at this a little closer. And Q says the more you know, which it's funny because it's NBC, and I think that's one of their little PSA campaigns. The more you know, and it's got like a little shooting star or something. But it's kind of funny to me that Q says that. And yes, you guys, I'm encouraging you to go out and do your own research on all of this because this stuff matters. No matter what anybody wants to say, and to say it's not real or it's not viable information, this is important research we're doing here, regardless of any other outside inputs. I mean, at least you guys can use your own critical thought and look at this and say, all right, are these things we want to endorse or advocate for or against? So the next post is Q responding to his own post here, and he actually posts this picture of, well, you guessed it, this is Jeffrey Epstein's apparently pagan temple on Little St. James Island in the Caribbean. It's a private island that's been speculated to have been visited by Hollywood actors, political foreign dignitaries, political persons in the United States and other countries. And I mean, look at this. What in the world is going on here? This is literally a temple with owls up here that would probably be like Moloch, and then there's statues, and it just looks really bad. People have speculated that this is actually an entrance to an elevator that takes you onto an underground facility on the island, where it's been alleged that there's been pretty awful things happening. And for me, it's just one of those things where, this is definitely worth investigating further. And I'm sure that things have happened. We've talked about this a dozen times in the past. But it says an anonymous 4chan user recently posted new photos of Jeffrey Epstein's infamous pedo island. That's their words, not mine. It says the island features a temple atop a small mountain and has been the location of several underage sex parties, allegedly, arranged by Epstein and attended by several of the world's elite, including ex-President Bill Clinton, his wife Hillary Clinton, Hollywood actors, and even members of the world's royal families. Now, there's been a lot verified about Jeffrey Epstein himself in courts through, different court filings and different plea deals or different outcomes of those trials. But the reason I have to, really be careful and say that that's all alleged is that there's been no real formal charges brought against the people who are being named there as far as their involvement with what's going on here on this island. But that doesn't mean that it didn't happen, okay? And that doesn't mean that it's not true. It just means that there's no proof, and we have to investigate further if we want to know the answer, because there's been a lot of circumstantial evidence that kind of piles up by the mountain or by the dump truck full, I guess, and you can look at that and say, okay, well, that's something that needs to be investigated further. And Q asks, is this normal? No. Having these secret temples where who knows what happens inside, I don't think that's normal. Now, again, we're shown the 1933 parliamentary wing of the Communist Party of Germany, and it's compared to the Antifa, anti-fascist action symbol here with the same, almost nearly same symbol and moniker and everything. And this is the paramilitary wing of the Democratic Party of America, right? And it's a good way to put it. They are basically, the Antifa is a paramilitary wing of that party, and they're out actually enacting violence on a regular basis, and it's really sick and sad. Q says fake news equals enemy of the people. If all directions of the echo chamber mainstream media state the same thing, even if fiction false, do most people then consider it true, factual? Direct communication is critical. Who controls the fake news? Why is Antifa allowed to incite violence, wear masks, make threats, carry weapons, and physically harm others who oppose their ideology? Why does Antifa attempt to justify such violence by labeling the challenger as alt-right or Nazi? Why does the left condone such acts of violence and call for an immediate end? Define projection. Define insurance policy. Define warning against attempts to unveil. It says, quote unquote, they prey on emotionally unstable, helpless individuals and use them as pawns. And I think that's something that Q told us before. And then it gives a link to this Fox article. And it's talking about the FBI had announced back here on December 1st. We saw them fighting there. But this was from Berkeley, California, when basically Antifa just showed up and started, violently attacking people who they disagreed with politically. Now, this is their MO from day one. They're not full of philosophers and diplomats. They're full of brainwashed, deranged thugs, mostly, and this is talking about the FBI having a probe of Antifa ideology that was underway all the way back in December of 2017. So why would they be probing the ideology of Antifa? Because it's an ideology that's produced a huge amount of violence and a huge amount of targeted violence against free speech. And that in and of itself is against the Constitution. And that is something that we have to investigate because those are crimes. And they have to be investigated further. Then it says, what does Ray know and when will he release to the public? Does such violence extremism justify National Guard deployment in the future ahead of planned public releases? And then it talks about this Breitbart article that we've talked about before from July 11th, where it says the left-wing Antifa terrorists are freaking out over proposed unmasking law. And I apologize for that person and their, the way that they are talking about this and this, I guess, because I don't know what that is. But guys stretching, I guess, or a girl stretching. But this is basically an article that lays out how they are freaking out over a proposed law that was saying that you can't wear masks and go out and injure and oppress and threaten people. It's just really anti-American. It's something that like ISIS does. And to me, it just is baffling that they've adopted this domestic terror strategy where they literally go around wearing masks and committing acts of violence. And however they thought that would be legal, I'm not sure who told them that it's okay, but I've heard a lot of their justifications being, well, hate speech is violence against me, so I can defend myself. And it's like, you realize that words do not actually, cause physical harm, right? And their argument is no, that they do, and it's mind-numbingly psychotic to go and try to understand their logic. So that's kind of what this article is laying out. And then Q gives us another one, which is the White House petition that was actually recognized by the President of the United States because it wanted to have Antifa designated or defined as a terrorist organization or recognized. And the response from the White House was interesting because the initiative said this. It said, formally recognize Antifa as a terrorist organization. Terrorism is defined as, quote, the use of violence and intimidation in pursuit of political aims. This definition is the same definition used to declare ISIS and other groups as terrorist organizations. Antifa has earned this title due to its violent actions in multiple cities and their influence in the killings of multiple police officers throughout the United States. It is time for the Pentagon to be consistent in its actions. And just as they rightfully declared ISIS a terror group, they must declare Antifa a terror group on the grounds of principle, integrity, morality, and safety. The response to the petition came from the White House saying, thank you for your petition requesting that Antifa be formally recognized as a terrorist group. And mind you, this is from August 17th of 2017, so over a year, almost a year ago. It says, President Donald J. Trump has repeatedly said that hatred and violence have no place in America. Our country must unite in condemning violence and recognize that the bonds of love and loyalty that bring us together are stronger than the wicked forces trying to divide us. Although federal law provides a mechanism to designate and sanction foreign terrorist organizations and foreign state sponsors of terrorism, there is currently no analogous mechanism for formally designating domestic terrorist organizations. Nonetheless, law enforcement has many tools at its disposal to address violent individuals and groups. The Department of Justice routinely charges violent individuals of all types with a variety of offenses, including arson, threats, fraud, tax evasion or tax violations, hate crimes, murder, and offenses related to the misuse or illegal possession of firearms and explosives. Thank you again for contacting the White House. And so you read through something like that and you think to yourself, well, at least they know and they're recognizing it and they're looking into it. But that doesn't change the fact that there's something much worse brewing beneath the surface. And then it says military spending bill, smile for the camera, Q. Now, what you have to remember is that today was a big day for President Trump. It was the end of his vacation, I think it was a 17-day vacation in at his golf course in New Jersey, and he went to upstate New York to go to the military base up there, where he met with the 10th Mountain Division, I believe, some of the most battle-hardened veterans of both the Iraq and Afghan wars, and sat down with them to actually have a little bit of a speech, and then also sign the new defense, the authorization for the national defense spending bill. Now that is a big deal because there was a lot of write-ins to this newer bill. But it's funny that the bill's name was the McCain National Defense Authorization Act, I believe, or the McCain bill is what they called it, which I thought was kind of funny and ironic. But I think that means there's something written in there that's going to basically change a lot that's going on. Now, people see it as primarily a capitulation to the military-industrial complex on Trump's part, but I see it a little bit differently. I see it more as a necessity to ensuring our prosperity is having a strong military. Therefore, expanding the budget is not a problem. Finding and implementing accountability for who spends what of that budget, that's the important part, and that's where the hard work comes in. After you pass a bill like an authorization like this, you have to follow up and see where the money's going, even though it is hard and it takes time. So you have to have patience and you have to be diligent, and that's really the key. So going back, you guys, this is all pretty straightforward. I don't need to break any of this down for you. And if you guys read more into it than I do, please leave your thoughts down in the comments. But what it's basically laying out here, fake news is the enemy of the people. Everything they do goes through this echo chamber. What Q has done basically is taken a wrecking ball and smashed it through one of the walls of the echo chamber. And so no more can they really control the narrative. They are just trying to steer it at this point as best they can. And that to me is kind of the whole thing. They can, and it's, it's this old saying, if you say a lie enough, if you say a lie enough times, it becomes true. Right? And that's what they do. That's their main practice. They do every single day. And that's why Q coming to us in the form of just a raw information source that we can go and look and aggregate and put together and then look at more critically. That's what's more important than anything, to go around the fake news. And obviously what Q is suggesting here is that Antifa has been allowed to grow and basically become what it is, and not been confronted by the mainstream media, and not been called out really uniformly and consistently, because of the simple fact that they're out there trying to shut us down, those who ask the questions that they don't want to talk about, those of us that try to change the narrative that they want to present us, the people who are out there trying to just basically break through the stranglehold that they have over what we are allowed to know as far as the news goes. So when you look at the next few posts, that's what it is. You call us a Nazi, and then you define us and label us as this, as what we are not, and then you charge up these people who are emotionally unstable, and you basically put them out there as a warning against us, a warning against those that want to expose the truth, those that want to have open discourse and ask questions and engage in open debate. That they cannot stand, because that could lead to the truth of behind everything. Who controls them? Why are they controlled? What really goes on behind the scenes? Those kind of things are information that they don't want to get out there. And it's asking us here, though, is what does Ray know? Does FBI Director Ray know more about Antifa than he's letting on? And also, let's say that this is all coordinated, which it is to a degree, obviously, on a national basis. The coordination, who's behind it, and what are going to be key events that cause them to enact more violence? And could those be situations like if the documents, the 20 redacted documents out of the FISA were released, if that information is released, you would have to look at it and ask yourself, would there be a justification to actually deploy the National Guard to stop this kind of, violence, this kind of basically domestic terrorist activities? To me, that's what it is. If you look up the definition and what would basically define an act of domestic terrorism, a lot of the things that have been committed by people on the behalf of Antifa could possibly fall under that category. So that to me is something that we have to keep looking at, because we're nonviolent. I've told you 1,000 times here, we're about thinking, we're about critical thought, asking questions, doing research, and that's it. There's nothing else to what our movement is besides we're patriots, we love God, we love our country, and we love our families, and we'll stand up for all of them at any given moment, because that's what we've been called to do. And look, this is what we're coming into. So you guys, I could go on for like an hour about that. Now the last two posts here are pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. Here's Bill Maher's tweet where he compares Michelle Bachmann to one of the characters from Planet of the Apes. And yes, that is exactly the same thing that Rosie O'Donnell did to Valerie Jarrett. And I've still yet to have my question asked when I tweeted at Bill Maher, why has his show not been canceled yet for his racist tweet? That still seems to baffle me as to why he has not been removed from the airways and stripped of his show and stripped of his title or whatever, and put to shame for his racist tweets here. Oh, but I guess Michelle Bachmann's not in the protected class, that is anybody who is not white, basically, has a special status that is above white people. And I don't think that's right, but call me crazy for thinking that Martin Luther King was a smart guy and had some great ideas about equality and not perceiving race as a point of division for us, but rather looking at the content of one's character. Now, that aside, the hypocrisy and craziness aside, Q actually calls out Hannity, Fox News, and Roseanne, saying, do not let this hypocrisy stand. Fight. Much more coming, Q. So look, Q's actually saying, look, you guys, you're in those positions. Sean Hannity interviewed Roseanne, and two different people, of course. And this is the kind of hypocrisy that we can't allow to go on, especially given all the stuff we've talked about in the last video here with Bill Maher and what he's been accused by Q of being possibly into. So that's, if you almost get that information, I'd watch that video, but it's pretty disturbing stuff to think about it. And I've asked the question openly, what happened at the Playboy Mansion between all of the stories that I've heard online where they allege that there were basically compromising videos taken of celebrities with underage children. I asked Bill Maher if he knew anything about that and if he cared to rebut, but I have yet to hear back. So anyway, here it is. It says, Sarah A. Carter, this is the last post here, and it's talking about Sarah A. Carter, who just came out with this article. And what does this put out? Well, or what does it say? It says, the 2016 Trump Tower meeting looks increasingly like a setup by Russian and Clinton operatives. Well, that wouldn't surprise me for 1 second. Because think about the story here. The story here is saying that there's evidence that suggests the infamous Trump Tower meeting with Russians was a giant setup to disparage the Trump campaign. And we'll actually read through the story because it's not too long, but it says the June 2016 Trump Tower meeting between high-ranking members of the Republican presidential campaign staff and a Russian lawyer with Kremlin ties remains the cornerstone of claims that Donald Trump colluded with Russia to steal the election. A growing body of evidence, however, indicates that the meeting may have been a setup, part of a broad effort to tarnish the Trump campaign involving Hillary Clinton operatives employed by Kremlin-linked figures and Department of Justice officials. This view that the real collusion may have taken place among those who arranged the meeting rather than the Trump officials who agreed to attend it is supported by two disparate lines of evidence pulled together for the first time here. Newly released records and a pattern of efforts to connect the Trump campaign to Russia. And it says, the first line of evidence includes emails, texts, and memos recently turned over to Congress by the Department of Justice. They show how closely senior Justice Department officials in the FBI worked with employees of Fusion GPS, a Washington-based research firm reportedly paid $1 million by Clinton operatives to dig up dirt on the Trump campaign. Continuing, it says, they reveal that then Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr, the fourth highest ranking official at DOJ, coordinated before, during, and after the election with Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson, who did work for the Clinton campaign and Russians. The former British intelligence officer Christopher Steele, who was employed by Simpson. Those emails, which disclose the topics of discussions but not their details, revolve around two business executives, Donald Trump and Oleg Deripaska, a Russian aluminum magnate close to President Vladimir Putin. Steele was particularly interested in resolving issues concerning Deripaska's U.S. visa, which was revoked in 2006 because of his suspected ties to organized crime. In another sign of the overlapping strands of this story, when Special Counsel Robert Mueller was running the FBI in 2009, the Bureau had asked Deripaska to contribute millions of dollars to help locate former FBI agent Robert Levinson, captured in Iran in 2007 while working for the CIA. Levinson remains missing. Wow. The Orr-Steele-Simpson correspondence appears to include references to the former British spy's work for Fusion GPS on Trump's ties to Russia. Months before the election, Steele wrote Orr to say that he would be back in Washington soon, quote, on business of mutual interest, unquote. Says the cozy relationship was bolstered by the fact that the wife of senior DOJ official Nellie Orr was employed by Fusion GPS. After Steele was dismissed by the FBI for speaking to the press for an October 31, 2016 report, Bruce Orr took over the work of relaying Fusion GPS's opposition research on the Trump campaign directly to the FBI. The culmination of their combined efforts, the 35-page dossier of unverified Trump-Russia connections, was used by the FBI to secure a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. The Department of Justice did not respond to Real Clear Investigation's request for comment, nor did Glenn Simpson's lawyer, Joshua Levy. It says the second line of evidence reframing the Trump Tower meeting after the Orr-Steele-Simpson correspondence was first reported in June by Real Clear Investigations. It shows that starting in March 2016, FBI confidential sources and other figures associated with Western intelligence services and the Clinton campaign approached the Trump team promising damaging information on Clinton. The Trump Tower meeting appears to have been the most successful of those approaches, since it was the one instance where the Trump campaign signaled it was willing to receive incriminating information on its opponent. These two strands of evidence, the DOJ's collaboration with Clinton-paid researchers and efforts to connect the Trump campaign to Russia, came together in Midtown Manhattan on June 9, 2016 at Trump Tower. At the center of it all was Fusion GPS, which had two clients whose interests were served by the Trump Tower meeting, the Russians and the Clinton campaign. Even though no evidence has emerged from the meeting of any dark conspiracy, appearances were evidently enough. In sworn Senate testimony last year, Simpson claimed the meeting corroborated one of the key claims made in the reports filed by Fusion GPS contractor Steele. Trump and his inner circle have accepted a regular flow of intelligence from the Kremlin, including on his Democratic and other political rivals. Nonetheless, Simpson also testified that he had no knowledge of the meeting with Donald Trump Jr. and others until it was reported a year later. There is a reason to doubt that account. In fact, the Russian lawyer at the center of the meeting, Natalia Veselnitskaya, was his client. She has publicly stated that she used talking points developed by Simpson for the Russian government in the discussion. Kremlin officials also posted the allegations on the Prosecutor General's website and shared them with visiting U.S. congressional delegations. In addition, Simpson has testified that he had dinner with Veselnitskaya the night before the meeting and the night after. Accompanying Veselnitskaya to the meeting was Russian-American lobbyist Renat Akhmetshin, who has served in the Soviet Union's military counterintelligence service. His role remains unclear, but evidence suggests he may have been the source Simpson was alluding to in December 2016, when Orr recorded that Simpson told him much of the collection about the Trump campaign ties to Russia comes from a former Russian intelligence officer, not entirely clear, who lives in the United States. Veselnitskaya hired Simpson in spring 2014 for work that lasted, according to Simpson's Senate testimony, until mid to late 2016. If you guys want to finish this article, you're more than welcome to. But you guys got the gist of what it's saying here. What it's basically explaining is that there was a connection between Bruce Orr, his wife Nellie Orr, Christopher Steele, and Glenn Simpson. So Fusion GPS, the Department of Justice, and the FBI were all working together at the behest of the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign in order to sabotage President Trump's campaign. Now, how were they doing that? Well, they were setting up these fake meetings in order to have evidence against President Trump. So it's like they were creating the president to go and spy on the president. You know what I mean? Play on words there. But seriously, this is not even a laughing matter. The Department of Justice, the FBI, and Fusion GPS need to come out and explain how it is not really just a witch hunt or a hoax that has been targeted against the President of the United States during his campaign for politically motivated purposes, where you have actual agencies that are some of the highest and most respected agencies and law enforcement departments in the land being used against an American citizen who is trying to run for president. And they weren't just being used to go, oh, well, it's not like Watergate where it's like, well, let's just see what they're doing. It's literally like, well, let's set him up so that if he does win, we'll have an insurance policy, and then we can frame him for something he didn't do and accuse him of being a foreign agent and basically impeach him. And who knows, if we convict him of treason, we'll get rid of him that way. And it's like, what? And then they get Robert Mueller in and put him on a fishing expedition where now all Robert Mueller's done since he started is gone off of the mandate of the investigation, even though the scope was so ambiguous. It's crazy, I've heard, that to me, look, Robert Mueller going after Paul Manafort for tax evasion in 2006 and trying to tie that in to all these Russians that he's indicting and tie it all together into this big, broad conspiracy is just fantastic. And it's not true as far as I can tell. And if it is true, please just provide me with the evidence and I'll gladly review it and I'll make a decision. But, that's pretty much it. I'll leave a link to this article down in the description, but I want to thank everybody for coming and checking out this video. Now, before we go, I want to say thank you to everybody who has come here and watched the video. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, the best way to help out the channel is to come here and click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. The second best way to help out is to basically scroll down at the end of this video and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments, because like I say, we try to have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these videos where we don't just talk about what Q posts. We talk about the mainstream media, what they will cover wrong and what they won't cover at all. And we talk about culture, politics, religion, everything in between. And it's just a great discussion. Even if you can't comment, I encourage you to scroll down and or just read through the comments, because you can definitely learn something just by reading through it. Now, also, before we go, if you're looking to help out the channel another way, you can come find me over here at Just Informed on Twitter, Just Informed Talk. Find me at Justin_formed on Twitter. Come give me a follow. Thank you. That helps out big time and I really appreciate it. And also, I want you all to watch this particular video. This is a great video that was put together by China Uncensored, and Chris Chappell and the crew over there do a really great job at covering issues that deal with China. And I was actually going to do a video about Dianne Feinstein and her connections to the Chinese with the spy that had been with her for like 20 years. But after watching this video, Chris Chappell and China Uncensored nail it. So I'm just forwarding this video to you guys for your consideration. If you guys want to watch it, you guys can go over to his channel and show them love and give them a subscribe and enjoy their content, because they do a really great job, and I really, really, really like their work. Now, another great way to contribute if you want to help out the channels financially is to come over here to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. Search Just Informed Talk. Click this button to become a patron, and it's a monthly donation. I'm so thankful to each and every one of you who make it. And if you just want to make a one-time donation anonymously, there's a link right here in the description to take you to the GoFundMe page. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who contributes. Thank you so much, and thank you in advance for everyone who comes checks that out. Now, today, before we sign off, like I say, I've used this analogy before. I hope it's not getting too tired, but I'm like a kid at Christmas when it comes to saving the best for last. I always save the best gift for last. I save the best bite of food for last. I save the best TV program to watch last, documentary, whatever. I've just always been that way. And that's why I do this at the end, because I think it's just such a blessing that we have this moment to really talk about honoring God and to talk about understanding how God's grace is greater for us as individuals. And the reason I do this whole channel is not because of, Q or anything other than God. And if you guys don't know, I've said this regularly before, it's because, I basically said that, look, God is the one who has brought me to this place in my life where I'm able to do this. I didn't do any of this. This has all been God working through me, and I just have thrown myself at his mercy and asked him to just guide me to be a good man for him, and to be a good man for my family, and to be a good man for every one of you out there, so that I can bring you the truth as I see it and the word of God as I know it, so I can help you to become better individuals and to become closer to God. And then maybe you can ask questions like I do and do the research on the topics that are important. Now, like I've said before also, none of this is about following Q or following President Trump or following some politician or some news person or some celebrity or personality. No, it's about following God. It's about bringing you guys closer to God's grace. And that to me is a blessing, that I'm able to get a chance every day to profess my faith to you, and to hope that, the light of God will shine into your heart, and then you will have your flame lit, and then you can shine that light out to the world. And then it will just become, a ripple effect where more and more people are shown that glory and grace of God. As I know the gifts of God are great, and I just want to share his many blessings with you. And in doing that, I found this great verse today. I was thinking about it. I was contemplating, like, what am I really, what am I doing? And I was kind of just having a little moment of, reflection and kind of meditation, where I was thinking to myself, this whole channel, everything that I've been blessed with, this ability to share information with you, has come to me through God. And what am I in that whole system? And I can see, there's a lot of ways I could interpret, what my work is, but the best one, God just gives you these answers when you're looking for them. And I was in 1 Corinthians reading, and it's in chapter 2 when I read Paul's proclamation that I realized, how that resonates in my heart. And maybe that'll resonate in your heart, and you'll see that, just as the sinner Saul became, the Saint Paul, you can do the same thing in transforming who you are just by looking to God. But I want to read Paul's proclamation to you, and I want to just have you guys listen to it, and you guys will let me know what you think. But it says, "When I came to you, brothers, announcing the testimony of God to you, I did not come with brilliance of speech or wisdom, for I determined to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness, in fear, and in much trembling. My speech and my proclamation were not with persuasive words of wisdom, but with a demonstration of the Spirit and power, so that your faith might not be based on men's wisdom, but on God's power." And that to me sums it all up. And that's how I want you guys to see yourselves, and to see, each and every one of us out there is, we're coming from a place of imperfection. And all we're doing, I know all I'm doing, is sharing the word of God as I know it, the greatness of of Jesus' sacrifice, and God sacrificing his son for our sins. I want to share that with you. I want you to have that gift and live it in your life, and share it with the people you love, and share it with the rest of the world openly every day, because I think that's the most important thing. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I say thank you to everybody who sticks with me, everybody who shows so much love, all the commenters, everybody sharing scripture, everybody going out and spreading love and light into your community. And I encourage you all to get out, get involved with your community, get involved with your churches, donate your time, volunteer, start a group. Talk about how great God is. Talk about, how God needs to come back into our country, and that we need to embrace God as a people again. Talk about, what you can do in your own life, in your own little ways, to change the world around you, whether that's supporting a politician who supports things that you believe in, or supporting your church, or supporting your community through a fellowship and community service. Whatever that is, I encourage you all to do it. And I just pray that each and every one of you take this opportunity, and every opportunity you're presented, as every day is a new opportunity to go out and make the world a better place. But I want to thank you all, and I hope Paul's proclamation resonates with you. And again, you can find it 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. So if you want to read that, you can go find it, and I hope those words help you in your heart. So thank you again for watching. This has been, again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button if you have not already. Now's a great time to do it. But thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.